Good. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm great. I got to be honest. I'm super blessed. I had a little bit of an anxiety attack the last 2 days because it's like, what if this doesn't work out? I went all in on helping people and coaching and training and all this stuff. And you know how it goes this time of year. People
Yeah.
people plan for next year now,
Yep.
and it slows down a little bit. When I get time on my hands, I get crazy.
Yes.
I
You
hate
got
it.
to stay busy.
Yeah,
You
it's
got-
so funny because I come from restaurants. In restaurants, it's like the craziness means money,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get away from that and be like, no, 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 like let's not lean into chaos. Like
Yep.
let's calm down and now plan for next year and plan for these things and reinforce the things that are already working because you have really good momentum now. And if you give up right now, and it's funny, I leaned into a buddy of mine who's a great business owner, and he was like, "You can go get a shitty job anytime you want."
Yeah.
He's like, "But you can lean into this right now and build something because you now have really good momentum." Because I
Yeah.
think that was the problem. Was like I always would pick up steam, and when things would get tight or like I would have to like buckle down a little bit, I would get scared and go do something else or go get a shitty job or whatever it was and make this a side hustle instead of just like no 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 like you got a good thing going like just keep going.
Yeah. You can't put your toe in the water. You know what I mean? And I think that goes along when you're going to have your own business, and people want to like play it safe, quote unquote. You can't really play it safe. You got to have full self confidence, full self belief. And when you open up that business, roll the dice, put it all out on the table. And the worst case scenario is at least you know you did your best and you put your best foot forward. And then you can go get a shitty job. Or you could just pivot, reconstruct your business plan, and go from there. But either way, you just got to go head first.
Dude, you know what made the biggest difference in my life that I never thought I did? I did not realize that I abused caffeine, like abused it. I was going through the chat GPTs and I was like, I would do this coffee shake every morning with like 15 to 20 grams of instant coffee, one to two energy drinks a day, like one during the day, and then sometimes I get them for free, and then one before a workout. And I noticed I cut out the evening caffeine, like the pre-workout caffeine, because
Yeah.
it was just like like 5 6 p.m. I don't need this, and maybe I'll do a little bit, like 100 milligrams. But I started really cutting back, and like at night now I get like tired. I'm like, oh, this is great.
You you
But
you earned your sleep. But you know what another great thing is too, like even on my own like, path, like so I had to lower the caffeine. So what I do is I'll take about 100 milligrams of caffeine and then about 250 milligrams of nootropics. That way, I mean, you see in a lot of pre-workouts now, they have tons of caffeine, then they've got the nootropics. People don't understand that they're just overstimmed, so the nootropics really don't take take place. When you have the lower caffeine ratio to the nootropic ratio, you're not going to be overstimmed, and your focus is going to be so much better. Um, and that's what I learned because I was one of those guys didn't really abuse caffeine, but like, I'd have a good 300 milligrams before a workout. And I love this 250 milligrams of nootropics and 100 milligrams of caffeine, somewhere around there. And, that's easy to do.
yeah, I started getting away from making everything I eat super sweet. Like I was big on the artificial sweeteners for a
Yep.
while. And I don't know what happened. Like last week I was like doing more vegetables and more I didn't eat beef for the longest time, like more beef and more whole eggs and stuff like that. And now I'm like more of like my palate's kind of changed to where like now I want more savory. And I've been
Yeah.
stopping sweet. Maybe it's because the weather's getting a little colder, which is ironic. Here in Texas, it's not
Texas.
cold. It's
Yeah.
like 60. But I'm like, yeah, like hot black coffee. And like, man, I was like, man, I'm really, really craving like some lean eye round. And maybe I'll get some of that today. And like, instead of doing, almond butter for my fats, I'm doing a couple whole eggs. And I've just been like, it's weird. Like my palate's kind of changed to where I'm getting away from copious amounts of diet sodas and stuff like that because I used to lean into even the caffeine-free versions, like a Sprite Zero and stuff like that all the
Yeah.
time, and I don't know what's kinda changed, but, my palate's kind of been leaning more towards just, like, plain Jane, just, like, salt, pepper, and that kinda jazz, but it's so weird how when we get older, like, things kind of, like, shift
Oh,
a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah.
everything shifts. Everything shifts. I forget the exact name, but it's like every 7 years, the human body goes through a full internal change, right? So that means, shedding the skeletal system. That means personalities change. And it's every 7 years. And when you look at your own life, when you think about it, all right, I'm seven, I think a certain way. I'm 14, I think a certain way. I'm 21, I think a certain way. And you're always evolving and you're always changing. And it's natural. It occurs internally in your body, every tissue, every cell, and it goes on. Hormones change. When your hormones change, holy shit. I mean, I try to tell people all the time the catalyst to the human body is really hormones. If your hormones are balanced, you're going to be a healthy son of a gun. And I wish people would kind of lean into that a little bit more, get their blood work done, see what they need to do, to get those markers where they need to be.
And my biggest thing is that I've noticed is that especially working with people, is that their palates change big time when they're not fatigued, when they're not like
Yes.
burning themselves out. I find even myself, like having copious amounts of artificial sweeteners and diet sodas and not that these things are bad. These things are a great tool.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But I would abuse these things, especially energy drinks, probably more than likely because I was super fatigued.
Yep.
And it's so funny because I was thinking about this. I was like, man, I would bet you I was just burning the candle at both ends and not getting enough rest so that I'm pushing this the synthetic caffeine to give me that energy and then just digging the hole deeper until I crash out. And then I take a couple days because I'm exhausted and then do it all over again.
Well, I mean, you know what I find too with clients, and they have problems sleeping. So what they want to do is they want to lean on to a melatonin or they want to lean on to a THC gummy or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It will help to a certain point, but then you have to learn how to get your body and your circadian rhythm set. And it's really, very the homeostasis is there. Everything is nice and even. And the only way you can do that is by extracting the melatonin, extracting the nighttime gummy, uh, you know, getting to sleep naturally. And one of the coolest tricks that a client taught me how to do that was actually to close your eyes, go left, right, up, down, circle this way, circle that way with your eyes closed. I guarantee you, you do that about 8 to 10 times and you'll fall right to sleep or back to sleep.
Oh, I
So there's
never
like little
heard that.
tricks.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy, but I'm the type of guy where I can get to sleep, but I'll get up in the middle of the night and stuff like that. So when you get up in the middle of the night, people also have to realize you only have 4 minutes to get back to sleep. 4 minutes. So if you go up and take a leak, all right, get that done, get to the bed, start doing the left, right, up, down, circle one way, circle the other way, and just get yourself back to sleep because sleep is one of those recovery tools that no one takes seriously. And it's so important.
You know what's funny? You know what changed my perspective was I was listening to a lot of the top natural competitors that are all competing in WWF Worlds, and I think you can learn a lot from listening to the people that don't have the cheat code. To be honest with you,
Exactly.
and they're like, "Yeah, I stop having any fluid intake about 2 3 hours before bed because I don't want to get up in the middle of the night." And I was like, huh. And I drink so much fluids, right?
Yep.
So many fluids that I would get up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night. And the last 2 nights has been the only time I haven't. And the big reason is I cut off my diet soda at night and I swapped to tea or whatever or what have you. But I do notice another thing too is that if I don't actually take a period of time before bed where I just relax, where I just go not like brain dead, but you're just
I have
not
I have a I have a real simple rule.
yeah, yeah.
I get up at 4 o'clock something every morning, basically 7 days a week. 8 o'clock, the phone goes away. No, unless there's a family emergency, I'm not answering it. So 8 o'clock is my deadline, because you want that good, 20, 30 minutes before you go to bed where you don't have a screen in front of you.
Yeah.
Let your body relax. And also, too, like I will sit there and I will journal. So I will do my journaling before bed. This helps me clear my head mentally. And then another little trick that I found when I journal is I'll actually shut all the lights off in the room and I'll light a candle. So now the candle is only lighting that paper. So now I have a full focus onto what I'm writing and it even relaxes me more.
Wow. That actually I was actually just considering getting a book prior to bed. I was actually just,
It's
like, thinking about it. I was like, "Man,"
it's
like, because
it's phenomenal.
I play a video game right now. It's a super relaxing game. It's an old school one. It's Skyrim. We're replaying that. It's amazing, and I love it because you can just put it down. Like it's not like
Yes.
you don't get engulfed. You're just like, whatever. I'm bored. And but it's still it's engaging enough to where you can play it for an hour and you're like, okay, like I'm chill. And it's funny because I had my buddy from Romania, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast right now?" It was like 2 a.m. and because his time difference is
Oh
different,
yeah.
it's been hard to get like get lock him down. And I was like, "No," I was like, "I know if I do this, I won't sleep. I
Yep.
know if I do this because the night prior, I was like doing my freak out, and I was like going through all the options and on my computer until 3:30 in the morning, and the whole thing." And my sleep was shit the next day, and I felt like dog shit all day yesterday as a result. And I was like, "Oh, I need to just like fucking take a chill pill. Like I'm
Yeah.
good."
You know what it is too. It's like, and also I'm sure you find this with your clients as well. They miss out on the most basic recovery. You don't need necessarily to do a cold plunge, then to go cupping, then to go scraping. Think about the basic recovery modalities. It's hydration, nutrition, and sleep. When they have that all down, 99% of the time, guess what? They're good as gold after that. And I think sometimes people try to find answers to things that they're not even on that level to even ask that question to that answer because
Yeah,
they didn't do the basic stuff.
yeah, I agree. I actually started doing an electrolyte supplement in the morning instead of coffee, and that's
Yeah,
been huge. I was
yeah,
like,
right.
wow, like
Yeah,
you just feel better.
I've heard of that. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have like the caffeine zealots out there, that, oh my God, caffeine's the worst thing on the planet. Then you have people that, say, hey, a good dose of caffeine per day is 500 milligrams. Again, it's usually in the middle.
Yeah.
You don't go from one extreme to another. The answer is usually in the middle. And that's what I find works the best. I mean, if you cut the afternoon caffeine, you get into a sleep. I call it a ritual. Like sometimes I feel like I'm 85, but no, I'm not going to go out tonight. I don't go out anyway, really. But like no, like my bedtime is about 8 o'clock, and let me tell you, when you get into that ritual, the second you fall out of it, holy shit, it's like a Mack truck hit you. But as long as you stay the course, wow, I'll take 330 great days out of the year because I actually got my ass to sleep on time. I ate well and I hydrated correctly for the day.
Yeah, it's funny. My sleep has always been the hardest thing for me to lock down. It's always been a really difficult night. I thought about this objectively. In restaurants, they just give it to you. It's like espresso and coffee and
Yep.
diet soda and like, to keep you going because like you really don't start working until 8 p.m. And
Yep.
like that was my circadian rhythm for a decade. And you're also in fight or flight because you're running. Like you're not in fight or flight like your life is in danger, but you're just like you're going with the rush.
Your
Like
your
it's
head
busy.
your
Yeah,
head's on a swivel. What's the next thing?
exactly.
What's the next thing?
And so now I've noticed whenever I'm out of the restaurant industry and I just lower my caffeine level to like a reasonable dose, like a energy drink, like before 2 p.m. or
Yeah.
100 or 200 milligrams of caffeine in the morning. I try to do it before 2 p.m. And what I've noticed is that not only am I just a calmer and definitely more precise individual. I'm not talking too fast. That's the big thing. Is like you're thinking faster than you can talk, and
Yep.
you're just like, "Ugh." and and I think the other thing too is like, especially with training, is you're just. I think when you go into training, you need to be almost in like a zen, like
Yeah, you need to
not
be
you.
focused, not necessarily overstimmed. Take out all the, the ammonias. Take out the pre-workout for a little bit. Take out all those extra stimuluses. Try to train just on your own and learn how what that feels like again. I mean, like when we were young and we're 12, 13, like we had the energy in the world. We didn't need pre-workouts. And then, as you get older and life hits you and you start adulting, oh, okay. And then you just lean into it more and more and more. But again, it's always good just to go back down to the basics. And for you too, I would look into something called box breathing. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do
box
know about
breathing
this. Yes.
box breathing is something that the military would use before their soldiers would hop out of a helicopter or they were going to do a special mission because their anxiety was getting high and stuff like that. So they actually implemented box breathing. And then I kind of took that into, to help at night or even my sauna sessions. So, like my sauna sessions, there's no phone with me. It's just me. And I'll focus on box breathing, try to get that mental clarity and just enjoy the sauna without something in my face.
I never was a big sauna guy because I do so much cardio. I already do
Oh, yeah.
so much cardio that I'm like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
already
mean,
sweating my balls off. I'm good.
yeah, I sweat in a freezer, but there's just something about being in a sauna that just really, really relaxes me.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, a me thing. I like to be a fat, sweaty guy in there and just get everything out. Um, and also too, I use it for me time. Like, that's where I do the box breathing.
Mm.
That's where I relax. That's my little getaway. Um, and,
Yeah, and like your recovery capability goes way up if you're
oh
able
yeah.
to relax. If you're
Yep.
able to relax, you're not just like kind of feeding into the machine of go, 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 go. Like you
Yes.
notice your training improves like dramatically.
I
It's insane. I notice with me with my recovery is is this number one thing. If I put on my music prior to the gym and I don't like, and my hair doesn't stand up, like if I don't get like, ooh, like yeah, let's go
Yep.
get this. I know that like I need to pull back. Like
Yep.
that's my number one indicator is like the music in the car. And I don't know
Yep.
why. That's why I can't do home gyms. If I had a home gym,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
because
yeah.
I love the drive because the drive you get you do like a mental checklist
Yep.
of like what am I ready for today? What can I do today? How do I feel today? And then you go through the gambits and then you're able to kind of proceed.
So when I was probably about like it was between the ages of like 13 and 15. What I would do is, my gym was about a mile and a half away, so I always wanted to train before I went to school. I don't know, I just wanted to do it. So I
Yeah.
get up at 4 something, and I would walk to the gym. I'd go past the train tracks, people huffing glue and shit. It was fucking nuts. But my point is while I was walking, what I would do is I know it sounds weird because I was young, but I would just recite music because I didn't have like the CD player back then or the
Yeah,
cassette
yeah, yeah.
player. So I would sit there and I would kind of before I went to the gym during that walk, I would sit there and I would recite song lyrics to try to get me going. You know what I mean? Um, but I look back at it, and that was a great way to kind of like ease into the workout. You can't always be on. You can't always have max intensity with everything.
No,
Not
like some workouts, so I think you taught me this. It was like some workouts, like you are going through the motions a little bit.
yeah.
Like some workouts, you're just going there to feel good.
Well,
Like,
you know what? You know what, Vince? Think about all those workouts where you went in there and you knew you weren't going to have a great workout, but you still worked out. It was probably a subpar workout, right? But over decades and decades, those subpar workouts add to the final product because at least you worked out,
yeah,
you know? And if you could take the mentality aspect out of it and view those workouts as supplementary workouts to the end product, people would feel better about themselves. You cannot, it's impossible 3 or 4 days a week to walk into a gym. And I don't care how perfect every modality is inside or outside the gym, that you're going to have a rip roaring session. It doesn't work that way. But that doesn't
No,
mean you
it's
don't
like
go to the gym.
yeah.
It just means, it means you
Well, so
modify it.
I was actually just getting into an argument with a guy on the interwebs about this because he said there's no such thing as overtraining. I was like, I don't know, man. I've been there. I've done
Ah,
that. It's like, not
when I
true.
when I read that type of stuff, and I've read it over and over again, like I understand their point of view, but it you haven't trained hard enough if you haven't overtrained. That's what the way I
Yes.
look at it.
I've definitely
So if
had
you're
days
telling,
where your CNS is fucking
yeah,
fried. Where
but
you're
that
like,
just means,
I was like, I don't even want to do shit today.
yeah, that just means that guy never pushed himself hard enough to even be in that burnout scenario. And that's most of the time, you know what I mean? Because unless you have like superior genetics, you're, an outlier of an outlier. And the only thing you do is lift, eat, and train. And even if that is the case, it's still not going to be every workout amazing. The
No.
percentage will be higher of better workouts. But still, at the end of the day, eh, overtraining just isn't overtraining in the gym. Overtraining could be the outside stressors that you can't control.
Yeah, people don't
So,
talk about that. Like your life is a bucket
yeah,
of stress, and like training adds that bucket. And like if you are getting in a fight with your wife and have kids and a job, and your boss is a dick, and
yeah,
all these things pour water into the bucket. And if your bucket's overflowing, people are like, oh, training. Going back around to this point that we did in the first one. Oh, training's therapy. I'm like, yeah, to a point.
yeah,
Yeah, to a point. Like
yep,
there's a point of diminishing returns with everything, right? Like you can't train twice a day, 7 days a week, and expect to for every session to be fucking stellar. Like at some point, you're gonna ask, is it like is more actually more, or is just more just doing like just going through the motions?
Well, I always propose this question to people, right? When they feel like they're over there, doing everything right. In my eyes, if you have to have two, three, four recovery modalities put into your training, look at your fucking training. Because your training's probably fucked up. That's taking two, three, four things to fix you. If your base of sleep, hydration, and nutrition is on point, that you need just to get through the week. Because then you got to take a step back and look at your own training. So it obviously isn't working. But again, today's a lot different than from when I was coming up. Like the recovery modalities are insane now. Like it doesn't matter if it's peptides, it doesn't matter if it's sauna, it doesn't matter if it's cold plunge, red light therapy, anything like that. Like if you need all that all year round,
Well, that's
look
like the
look
thing.
at your training.
A lot of people come to me with like all these fucking recovery modalities, and their sleep is dog shit, and their nutrition is dog
Yeah.
shit, and then I'm like, why don't we do like just the big things,
Yes.
and your quality of life will dramatically improve, and most likely than not, you won't need red light therapy and all these other things, and the peptides is the worst. Like people with the peptides is like insane,
Yeah.
and the amount of consultations I have where I'm like, you don't need this.
Yeah.
You just need to like dial in your food. Like
Yep.
what's going on, or not train like an asshole. Like the amount
Yep.
of people that just train like assholes, and it's like, well, I'm training hard, and I'm like, yeah, like what's the goal here? Like what's the goal here?
Well, I think you just said it. Like what's the client's goal? If the client's goal is to be an athlete, the training is going to be tough. It's probably going to be a little mundane, and there's going to be days where you have to plow through things just to get it done. But if you're just a GP client or you're coming just for a better life in general, I mean, everyone's hard is objective, right? What you may think is hard, someone else may think is easy. What I may think is hard, someone may think is easy, and vice versa. So you have to make sure that the client that you know what the client wants, because a lot of times the client doesn't want to get, their dick buried into the ground every single time.
No, no.
They just want to come in to feel better and healthier, and there's nothing wrong with that.
The amount of times I train people and it just turns into like us bullshitting and like them going through like good movements, like
Yeah,
they're decently heavy movements. I know it's reinforcing like their connective tissue, bone mineral density, muscle mass. It's enough to like stimulate everything because again, like their training ceiling is so low that like
yeah,
they can do these basic movements for with a moderate amount of weight and see a huge benefit, and as long as they're relaxing to it. Like I got a client who she has her headphones in the entire workout,
oh,
she
I
can
hate
still
that.
hear me.
Yeah.
I love it because
Oh, you do?
I do. I'll tell you why. Is like when I
Okay.
notice with her reps, she goes to the cadence of the music, and
Oh,
her
okay.
the cadence of her reps are like systematic, and she's more relaxed when she trains. She used to get a lot of anxiety, like a lot of like nervousness, and then that eased off with the music.
So you
Where
know what
like,
I did? You know what I did read? That's interesting you said that. So I did read this. A lot of strength gyms will actually play hip hop because what they
oh,
do is they
that's
get in.
ironic.
So if they're squatting or they're benching or whatever they're doing, they go to the beat. So I thought that was very interesting. Like I'm gonna
When I used to powerlift, I only trained to 2000s hip hop.
yeah, that's what yeah, give me
It's
DMX and
so
Biggie all day
funny.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Little John for me. It was
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
John. Like I was
Yep.
like, oh, Little John, because you're always in a good mood. You can't be too serious if you listen
See,
to Little John.
I was looking at it. The only thing that bugs me about the headphones and like with clients is like, okay, well, I'm trying to instruct you, and here you are playing fucking Freebird at
No,
at 11.
it's
You know
loud
what I
enough she
mean?
can hear, but not so loud that she can't hear me.
Yeah, no, that's great then. Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. I was taking it from the more like, okay, they're not gonna be able to hear, focus. But yeah, I liked hearing about that,
Yeah,
about with
yeah.
the hip hop and getting into rhythm and getting into a cadence. So I like that aspect
I
of it.
find especially with people, especially your gen pops who have not really trained in a decade or haven't been to a gym at all, it does take away a lot of that anxiety because I'm like, hey, like you can just get into the zone and I'm
Yep.
going to just instruct you through the whole thing. And if the music's just not blaring and it's loud enough to where like I can give cues and they listen to the cues and it relaxes them, it's a huge benefit.
Oh
Huge
yeah, without a
benefit.
doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, it's crazy some of the stories you hear along the years about how they recover, how they feel better. It's weird. It's like I was having this conversation with another coach, and if someone came up to me and said they dip their elbows in Cool Whip every single night and it helps with their elbow pain, you know what? Maybe I give it a try because it works for them. Like, do I think there's validity to that? No, but that just makes them feel better mentally. It's a
Yeah.
mental win for them. Like, I don't think the
Hmm.
Cool Whip is helping your elbows, but if you say so and that makes you feel better, if that's part of your ritual, it's kind of like how people have like a favorite deadlift T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
What
Yes.
people don't realize is they themselves made that deadlift t-shirt special to them
Yes.
because they're the ones that hit the PR. So now that shirt for them is just totally psychosomatic. It's a placebo effect. It's what okay,
Mhm.
when I wear this shirt, I'm gonna have an amazing deadlift that day. And they totally forget that they're the ones that made that deadlift shirt so special.
So JM is big on this, where he would have the same flavor of energy drink prior to every workout, or the same flavor of whatever it was.
Yep.
Either it was flavored oatmeal or something he enjoyed prior to every workout because it's Pavlov's association. Like you
Yeah.
associate that I get to go do this thing when I have this thing. And so
Yes.
your brain does this connection
Yes.
and it does work.
Oh, I
Let me
totally
tell you.
agree. Oh, I totally, totally agree with
You
that.
stick to like one flavor and you're like, this is
Yes.
the workout
It
flavor.
doesn't last forever because of course it's always
Yeah.
ever changing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
environment around you. Because the second you have that shitty workout with that energy drink flavor, you might reconsider. But for the most part, it's always changing. So yeah, that's right. I've had favorite shoes, I've had favorite belt, I've had a favorite shirt, I've had a favorite deadlift socks. I've had everything just over the years. And I don't find it dumb at all. I really don't. It just you use that modality for as long as it works, and then you have to switch to another one.
Well, it's like look good, feel good, man. Like
Yeah,
if you have a new like for lack of a better term, gym fit, and you
yeah,
feel good in your gym fit, you feel like I look great in this. Like
yep,
especially like your gym pop people, like if they look like they feel good, like if they walk in and they're dressed up, not dressed up for like to go out, but like a
yeah.
new gym fit, and they feel good about themselves, they're gonna have a better workout. Their mental output is like more positive. Like people don't take into consideration is like your mindset really does drive everything.
Your mindset is absolutely everything. And that's why I try to kind of tell my people lift without that heightened arousal. Take all the special shit out every once in a while. Let it just be you, the silence, and the weights. You'll grow as an athlete. You'll grow in a tougher demeanor. Anything, then that way too, on contest day, it doesn't matter if the radio stops. It doesn't matter
Yes.
if all of a sudden they misload the bar by 20 pounds. You're not concerned about that. You've trained
Yeah.
under different and harder conditions. And it's a tough pill, especially I think for the new generation of lifters that
Mhm.
it's so commercialized right now and they're sold every special gimmicky thing on the planet that they feel like that needs to be part of their routine. And I wish that they would make silence part of their routine and take out the heightened arousal and take out the headphones every once in a while. Like I said, just track it back. Headphones can be great, totally get it. But on the other hand, try it without it.
Well,
Try it. Try
how many
everything.
times have you trained? I've trained 1,000 times where my headphones are in my face, so that way I don't have to talk to people, right? Like not everybody's stopping me every 30 seconds,
Yep.
but there's nothing playing.
Yes. 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 And you know what too? Like I took this from it was an old George Lehman video. So he would listen to classical music
Oh, I do
during his
too.
back slash.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do that a lot. I do that a
So
lot, especially days I'm tired.
yeah.
If it's a day I'm in the shit, I'm like, we're throwing on Mozart. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not a bad thing. Listen, everybody's body is going to respond to different stimuli, right? So switch up that stimuli so then you don't sit there and plateau. Every little it's so funny, it's paradoxical, it really is. Training is very, very simplistic, and I guess you would call it the outline, right? But very, very complex once you get into the heart of training. And everything that we've touched on so far, if it's, heightened arousal, if it's a song or a shirt or whatever, like it's it's okay to just try different things and see what works for you and keep an open mind.
you
I
know who
try to try to
I
say
always
that
think
all
of
the time.
this as Evanson Depani was big on this, where like I guess like Chris Tuttle or somebody was like trying to take a pre workout before their lift, and he's like, if you need that to go lift weights, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that guy is up at like 4:35 a.m. every day, trains
Yep.
in his fucking basement, super basic. And remember what like when he was big in like 2010 around there, like
Yeah.
big Whole Foods guy, glass containers, the whole
Yep.
bit. And I remember it's like, fuck, like there's so and I go back around to those videos just because it's like, oh, he figured it out. Like
Yeah.
he figured it out and he never got into all this other bullshit before it became the bullshit.
Yep. Yep. There's um it's tough for people, especially with the age of, we have information at our fingertips of who to actually follow, who's legit, who's actually a professional in their field. Because everything is so blitzed and glammed up and people go for the likes and the views and they don't understand that the people doing that, or what I always say is, if you find a coach or anybody that says their modality is the best modality, they're full of fucking shit, because any good coach will pull from multiple modalities or multiple reps and schemes, and not everything fits everybody. But people don't realize that. They just kind of scroll through, and they see a handsome guy or a pretty girl barely dressed in anything, and they don't understand that they're 22 years old. They're probably drinking a bottle of Bacardi every weekend, ripping about 20 heaters a day, but they're just young and they're able to absorb it and they can do it. but then they come off as, the fitness professional.
It's so funny when you listen to people talk who haven't been in the game that long, and you really realize they're like, "Oh, they don't know." Like, they
Ooh,
don't they think they know, but they don't
yeah.
actually know. And then and it's funny, we can go back around to the overtraining thing, is I've noticed for myself, I wanted to do an experiment to where I do all my training instinctively, to where I have a 3 or 4 day rotation and I take days off as needed, right? Like if I
Yes.
wake up and I'm like, like not feeling it today, we're gonna pull back. But having a 4 day rotation where I don't plan rest days. However, if I was a new guy, I wouldn't do that for him because
No.
I know that he's just gonna the training efficacy, the level of execution is going to go in the shitter, and he lacks that objective point of view to be like,
No, what he
okay,
lacks what he
you're
lacks is
fatigued.
he lacks auto-regulation.
Yeah,
When you're new, you don't know what auto-regulation is. You don't know how to listen to your body. You're told, "Go, go, go, go as hard as you can, take as much pre-workout. You're a pussy if you don't do that," so on and so forth. Like, when you've been in a game a while, we know. I mean, I know, like, if I'm going through my warm-ups and I'm feeling a certain way, I'm gonna make that call way ahead before I try to get under a heavy barbell. You know what I mean? I'll be like, "All right, I'm going through my warm-ups. I'm not really feeling it today. Still gotta put in the work." So then why don't I bury my dick in the ground on a movement that's not so high impact? That's gonna then, have a cascade effect to mess up the rest of my training for the week. So if I go in and I'm supposed to have a heavy squat, but I'm not feeling it, all right, so I'll go on the leg press. I'll do some heavy leg press. I know I'll recover a lot quicker. I know it's not going to throw me off my game, and I hit the objective for the day. I had a solid workout. Newbies don't know that. They'll
yeah,
just sit there and get under that bar no matter what. And then, that's when you have a high risk of injury or just something, or just keep killing your central nervous system, and the workouts get worse and worse as you go on. So it's the auto regulation that they don't know. But that takes, I mean, geez, if I want to be honest with you, I don't know. I've been doing this 33 years. It probably first 20 years it took me to learn, to take my ego out, to take my pride out, to actually listen to my body. Because
the,
again, we're always taught go, go, go.
yeah.
And there's a
The,
time and place for that. There's a time and place for that, but not 365 in a training cycle.
well, it's funny. I the amount of times I got under a barbell when I probably shouldn't have is nuts, and it's like, yeah, like, I could have probably made my training better. However, I probably wouldn't have changed anything because even when you trained a little half off, sometimes you're creating that proprioception to be better. Especially like if you are able to like at least have a little bit of common sense, be like, okay, today we'll go lighter. And that technique and you're myelinating those nerves for better technique, and you can still have a really hard session.
Yeah.
You are improving that skill, but again, it's like it takes somebody who's willing to be objective with themselves and be like, okay, today I'm not gonna max out. I'm not gonna go to failure where my eyes bleed. I'm gonna take it to, you know, this line and then I'm gonna cut it off, or maybe just do higher repetitions to where it's
Well,
safer.
you just said it, skill acquisition. You mentioned skill. Wouldn't it be great if people could realize, okay, I don't have it today. I'm not going to hit a 3 RM on the bench. So why don't I do some speed work instead? Why don't I get that skill acquisition even better? So there's no excuse to have a bad workout, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
There really isn't an excuse to have a bad workout because you can always modify and change your workout to what your needs are that day. But again, that takes time to learn your body and to know when not to cross that line into doing something stupid.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's the same thing with dieting too. Dieting's a
Yeah.
skill. Dieting's a
Oh
huge
yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
I think I never thought about it. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and they're like, these things like the back of your head. It's not you don't even think about it because you've been doing it so long. You can just look at something and just know.
No, yeah.
People don't know. And like he's like, preparing food isn't a big deal for you. He's like, because you've been doing it for so long that you have it on speed dial. It's funny because I remember this every time I watch my wife prep her food, I'm like, why does it take you forever? I was like, it's just rice. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, why is this taking you so long? And she gets frustrated. She gets mad at me. And she's like, well, because like I am forgetting the big key important factor that you've been doing this a decade. Like,
Oh,
you've been preparing. Actually, no, I've been prepping food, my own food for 15 years. So, of course, you're going to be faster. And of course, you're going to be a little more efficient. And like,
yep.
I'm at the point now where I don't meal prep anything. I just throw the meats I need in the air fryer in the morning. And then while I'm getting ready in the morning, everything's already prepped fresh. My
Yes.
rice cooker goes on, everything goes on because I learned no one wants to eat old chicken, and even myself, like you think you're hardcore, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
once that chicken gets like day 3, day 4, you're like, "Fuck this,
Yes.
gross." And like, I also noticed that if I keep the chicken raw in the fridge, right, like raw before it's cooked, there's less chances of me eating extra because I know that it's there and it's not prepared, and it's going to take me 10 minutes to prepare this. And
Yep.
that was the biggest game changer for me was like, oh, if I prepare this only what I need for the day, then I actually don't have any instance of cheating with extra protein because I don't have extra prepared.
Yes. Yeah. No, those are really good tricks. I like that. Like also too, like what'd you just say? You talked about oh shit, I want to touch on it. Um oh sorry, I lost it again.
Not I'm preparing food.
Uh no, it was you were talking about die or being hardcore. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Being
yeah.
hardcore. I would love to know what your definition of being hardcore is.
Oof.
Because I get
There's a
there's
guy.
different ones. I want to hear your definition of
I would
hardcore.
have to say, I would have to say, coming back around to Evanston Tapani, he was like the antithesis of hardcore, right? Like the guy didn't listen to music when he trained. Everything was like farm to table, it was like fucking whole eggs, chicken, fish, like everything was like, whole food only. The guy woke up at 4:35 a.m. every day and ran a mortgage business at the same time. And I think and then didn't lean on supplements or energy drinks or diet sodas and all that jazz. Um, and followed through on everything he said. And I think that to me is hardcore.
Exactly. It's consistency is hardcore. Not like, and I think people's definition of hardcore can be jaded at times because people will watch the guy who's butting his head off the barbell and he's bleeding before he squats. To me, that's not hardcore. That's just energy lost. To me, hardcore is just being consistent in everything,
Well,
inside and outside the gym. That's warm ups. That's your approach to training. Like everything is very ritualistic. I believe that's hardcore. It doesn't. It's not like people like glorify it. Like, oh, I mean, remember the old Matt Kroc video
oh
where he's taking the
yeah.
nail and he's driving the nail into his shoulder before he trains. Like, I mean, I guess if that's a stimulus for you, or is that just for show to be hardcore?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
well,
and
I think a lot of that stuff is just for show. I think a lot of that
yeah,
stuff is I'm I'm like I'm more driven than you are. I'm more
yeah.
hardcore than you are because I'm willing to do these things. It's funny. I didn't come to this realization until I watched Ben Pollock train. I watched Ben Pollock do a good morning with 485 for three, screaming his head off, and then the very next day tear a pec. And
Ah,
I was like, like, yeah, he's outrageously intense. Yes. And then he had to pivot. He pivoted his whole career after that. And it's
well, he
like,
went science based.
yeah. And I was
Yeah,
like,
he went science based.
oh, I was like, so what is hardcore? Is hardcore doing the things that you probably know you shouldn't do and just risking injury in the end? Or is hardcore being as efficient as you can and doing what you need to do?
Yes, that is what. hardcore is. And that's what people don't understand. If I'm training, right? And again, with my mentor over the past year and a half, he's taught me so much. Like for me, like it's rare that I, lean on a certain song or anything like that. But if you see me sitting and I'm sitting down before the set and I'm looking at the ground, that's me focusing. That's my new switch. I'm not using the ammonia for my switch. That's what I'm doing. That to me is more hardcore than screaming and being animalistic on the stage. Like, treat it as a profession. Like, if you say you're a professional, treat it like your profession. Like, that's why I always love Big Z. You never saw him go crazy. He would make a world record lift and he would give you the fist pump. That's it.
Yep.
And then he would exit the stage. And I always respected that. Always.
He was so calm in
Yes.
all his shit. He was just
Yes.
like it was another day in the office. Like it's
Yes.
no big deal.
But that's the approach that people like. To me, that's what that's 10 times more hardcore than the shit we see on the internet now. Like, I don't want to even give them clout. I'm sure you've seen it, but there's a certain gym where people go there,
Oh
and
yeah, it's just a
yeah, and
ton of
like they can't
stupid
drink
shit.
water. They can't
I'm
drink
like, what's
water if
the
they're about to do
fucking
a
point
set.
of all of this?
They
I
have
don't
to go to hill.
understand.
But see, this is what I mean. Like, you can have that environment. And I'm not saying I'm all for hardcore environments. The cream will rise to the top. I get it.
Hmm.
But hardcore with a plan. Not just, okay, well, no, you can't drink water, or no, you got the bar loaded, but we're gonna go out and do burpees and sprints up a hill. But people, they soak it up. Like, I'm reading the comments, it's like, oh, this is amazing. This is like, you really think they fucking train like that year round? Hell no, they don't. And then B, it's for the clout. Again, the clout on the Instagram, Facebooks. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what real training is.
Well, it's also like it. Here's the thing: is that what is the fucking objective?
Yeah.
What's the objective there? Like that's what all I think is like when I watch those videos. I'm like, what are we trying to be? Is it a
Yes.
CrossFit athlete? Is it a hardcore bodybuilder? Is it? It's like, are we just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks? Because essentially, like you're just randomly throwing shit around. That's generally hard, and it's like just because it's hard doesn't mean it's effective. You know,
No. No.
you could do a 1 rep max on deadlift for a month, and that's really fucking hard. But is
Yeah.
it going to be effective? Probably not.
There are times where I do think you listen. You don't know your limits till you push past those limits, and everyone's gauge is different. Some are really far, some are really close. You
Hmm.
do have to find those limits. And what I try to tell people too is, like, when you find those limits, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, listen, you want to go see if you can work 100 hours a week, at the restaurant, plus do 5 days of training, be my guest. You're going to have a whole lot better chance of getting recovered. Again, I'm not promoting it, but I'm saying at least give it a go. Push your limits to as far as you can go. But then from that point on, realize where your breaking points are.
You know what's funny,
Realize how
Brent?
far you can push it before you have to bring it back. But you do have to push it to the extreme to find that balance. But people will live in the extreme for too long and then wonder why their progress is totally halted.
Yeah, that's a big one. I've done the
Yep.
train every day and the whole thing, and like I can train every day if it's 45 minutes. And
Yeah.
I can auto regulate. We're like, okay, today's only machines. Or okay,
Yes.
today and I do need to do more of that. Like I do need more days where I'm like, it's gonna be cables. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fucking cables. Like
Yep.
today's gonna be back and it's gonna be all cables.
Yep.
And I do need more of that. And that's part of the reason why I want to increase my training frequency. But the other portion of it too is again coming back around to that systemic stress is like when I did the restaurant 4 or 5 days a week and then training 5 days a week, the amount of times I would look at my training partner and we'd both be like burnt to shit. I
Yep.
remember like it would be like I remember this one particular shoulder day. We were both like, "What the fuck?" And it's like because we're trying to like do the super high volume thing because that's what all the pros are doing, and train and do the restaurant where I'm probably doing 20,000 steps and cardio and the whole thing. And it's like, man, every time I've ever not done the restaurant, my body composition. I like. It's funny every time I've left a restaurant and then visited because I always keep good rapport. They're
Yeah,
like, "You look bigger and leaner," and it says, "Yeah, your systemic stress is
yeah,
down."
yeah.
like,
Your, your
duh.
cortisol
Like,
levels aren't through the roof. Your
yeah, and like people don't take that into consideration. Like I had a guy this week who's like, "My weight is up," and I go, "How's sleep?" And he goes, "I didn't sleep at all this week." And I go, "Yeah, like
Yep.
come
More
on."
hours in the day to snack, my friend. That's
And
what
then
that
he's
is.
also, and then he was also like, "My weight was super up early in the week, and now it's down." I go, "Yeah, like because you,
Yep.
it's the weekend and you're not
Yep.
working. You
Yep.
know, it's about to be the weekend, and you're
Yep.
chilling out because it's Friday, and you know you don't have to work Saturday, Sunday." I
I
was like,
always.
"Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, no, no. The cortisol is a real thing, man. Like
Yeah,
people,
like I could never eat in the morning. It wasn't until after this, the hard shit, where I looked into everything up and down, and I couldn't believe it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. I was just listening to the wrong people. And then when I started adding, I always have 6 ounces of either or 8 ounces of either blueberries, raspberries, blackberries every single day.
oof,
I take the right supplements now. I've leaned away from, you know, I used to always be so robotic. Like, okay, I need 400 grams of carbs a day. I need 300 grams of protein today. I need my fats at 60 to 80. I need my certain fats from certain foods. I was always very, very strict on that. And then when I realized, wow, I'm not a machine. Like I synthesize protein probably a little bit better than most people, so I don't need 300 grams of protein. Um, the carb source isn't necessarily coming from sourdough bread now; it's coming from my berries. It's these little differences. And now, when I wake up in the morning, I'm ravenous, and then that's when I knew
oh
my
yeah,
cortisol levels were starting to even out and stuff like that. And it's little stuff. It really is the little nuances that you learn along the way that will make the biggest improvements.
dude, I am fucking starving in the
Yeah,
morning, starving, and like today is gonna be a lower day to where like it's just fats and proteins in the morning,
yeah,
and like I'm like fuck.
yep, yep.
I make a, but it's funny that you just mentioned everything. You know who changed my perspective on nutrition big time was J.M. Blakely. Because
Yeah,
I was big on everything needs to be like down to the gram and blah blah
yeah,
blah. He's like, dude, it's just carbon atoms. You're just
yep.
exchanging carbon atoms. It doesn't. And then I looked more into it, and I'm like, oh, meal timing isn't the biggest deal, and like calories in, calories out is
Oh,
really like,
remember the anabolic window when we were coming up?
yes,
Oh my God, you have to slam
yes,
protein a
yes.
half. Listen, motherfucker, I just trained for 3 hours doing 4 hours doing strongman events. I don't think my anabolic window is only 30 minutes after I'm done.
I also think too, though, like when you're doing 3 4 hour workouts, like intra workout has a place. That's for
Yes,
sure. Intra workout, so your blood sugar isn't in the shitter.
give me some raw,
Because
give me some raw honey, baby, and
yeah,
we're good
like
to go.
that's my big thing is like I'll have a gator. Like once I get lean, I start adding in carbs during the workout because I notice that my heart rate is higher post workout, and I'll do more post workout cardio because I'll burn more calories. But then if I'm going to do that with another 60-minute session of training, I need those carbohydrates to like 25 to 40 grams, nothing crazy, to like carry me through everything. And that when you're super insulin sensitive, it's like you're utilizing that energy a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, it was. I was reading. There's this nutritionist that worked with, I believe, 4 of the world's strongest man competitors this past year, and I have never heard of this. I mean, you're probably more to know about than I am, but like he was, and he's dealing with 6'9", 440-pound giants.
Hmm.
They're only eating 300 grams of protein, but they're consuming 800 to 1,000 grams of carbs a day.
That's how bodybuilders eat.
Yeah, I I never heard of pushing it that far. Like I've heard of the tricks,
Hmm.
like okay, have some rice, drizzle some duck fat on it for your pre-workout, so it slows down the absorption. Like I've heard of little tricks like that, but I never in a million years would think that. a 6'9", 440 guy is only
Yeah.
taking in 300 grams of protein, but
Well,
his carbs are at
think
1,000.
about it like this. I wouldn't even do fat pre-workout, and I'll tell you why. If you have enough glucose there, you don't need the fat. You don't. Because let's say I'm getting ready for a big workout. I'm gonna have something easy to digest, usually like a rice flour. I'm gonna have an
Mhm.
intra-workout carb because I know it's gonna be more than 90 minutes of training. And then I'm probably gonna eat within an hour, 2 hours after. And the primary driver for hypertrophy, the primary driver for muscle, is gonna be
Yeah.
glucose. It's gonna be
Yeah.
glycogen.
Yep.
So the only thing that's gonna have a hormetic response in the body that you consume on a daily basis is gonna be carbohydrate. Carbohydrate's what's gonna drive performance. Like you need some fat for bioproduction and for satiety, but you don't
Yeah.
need a ton around the workout. Like you just don't. And especially if you're trying to perform at a high level, like you want things to digest and hit the bloodstream faster.
Faster. Yep.
So my biggest thing is, yeah, you don't need a lot of protein. You do want high quality protein, like you want protein that's going to be a bioavailable source. But
Yes.
protein. I worked for John Anderson for a short stint,
Oh,
and he
did
had
you?
and he had me eating 700 grams of protein a day. And yeah, 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 yeah. And like I remember the day I stopped and I started going back to the 300 grams of carbs and 250 grams of protein, like cutting the protein down. I dropped 20 pounds and my lifts increased. And I was
I
like,
met him in
oh,
'07
fuck.
at Strongman Nats. I met him in '07, and
Yeah,
we were just shooting the shit. And he's like, and he's got that voice. He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
brother, this body doesn't use carbs." And I was like, "Okay," like, but yeah, but again, like, and we could take this into anything, training, whatever. There always seems to be trends, always in everything. I firmly believe that keep an open mind, try it. If it's trendy and maybe there's some validity to it, give it a go. But again, for the most part, it's not going to be that extreme because consistency is not based on extremes. It's just
No.
based on doing it day after day. And you can't eat 700 grams of protein a day. Like, and also too,
I did it
let,
for like I did it
let's
almost
call
for a year, dude. For a
let,
year.
let's just say I'll put it this way, right? If you're on performing performance enhancing drugs, the whole part of that is the increased protein synthesis. So why on God's green earth are you telling someone that's maybe taking a TRT or something like that that they need excessive protein? That would be the first thing that I probably simmer down a little bit
Here,
because I think that's just common sense.
so you got to remember what they were designed for, and what they were
Yeah,
designed for was nitrogen retention.
tension.
And so when you have something that retains nitrogen, here's the thing: is training changes. You only have to train something once a week, not twice a week, because again, that your nitrogen retention is higher. Also, these were designed for cattle to be able to not eat for days and days and days at a time while they were going from one area to slaughter or
Yep,
across country and not lose any lean body mass.
yep.
So you have to remember that you could just not eat when you're on performance enhancing drugs and you will not lose muscle mass. You'll lose glycogen,
Yeah, yeah,
but you
yeah, yeah.
won't lose muscle mass. And so like the idea that you need like more protein than a natural competitor is outrageous because these drugs make you more efficient. So
Yes, it
you
makes you
could
wait. That's I never understood that, and that was even when I was
yeah, it
young.
just like doesn't make sense. Like
It
even on
doesn't make
paper, it's like,
sense.
why would you eat 500 grams of protein? Because you're not even going to synthesize that much,
No.
and essentially, like, at what point are you just going to ask yourself, I could have the same amount of calories and carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates you're going to train harder with, and
Yes.
then that's the end all be all is the training. Like
Yep.
if you're eating enough carbohydrates to train your balls off, you're going to see more progression than
Yeah.
if you are not.
Yep. Yep. No, it's just just again all the things through the years too, and like it's funny because when you talk or when kids talk today, and like I don't know about like your end, but a lot of them are like, oh my god, because there's these Instagram guys called the Trend Twins.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like these guys like, and they like glorify this drug, and I'm like, do you know what that drug originated as? It was called Finaplex. You know what Finaplex was? It was a tablet to give to cattle, and then they found a way to synthesize it and put it in Tren Ace or Tren Hex. That's not what you want, bro. You're not a steer. You're
Here's the
not,
thing,
and
and people forget it's a neurotoxin, man.
yes,
It's a
that is
neurotoxin.
it is by far the worst one on the planet. But again, because of the glorification with the interwebs on it, everyone seems to be like, "Oh," I'm like, "You got fucking be kidding me." I would I would never touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean? But again, it's misinformation. They see, these guys jacked and ripped, and they think that that is how they fully got there. They still had to train hard. They
What's
still had to be,
crazy is coming back around to the pro bodybuilding circuit, and I talk to a lot of these guys. Is there a lot of them just aren't taking trend at all because they're like
yeah,
it just makes everything harder. They're like it
yep,
makes it more stressful. If I can
yep.
just go through prep and make it as least stressful as possible, and everything is like feeling really good, why would I add this?
Why?
It
I
does,
mean, and it's bronchular. So the second it hits you, you're coughing like it's not like who
yeah.
thinks that that's like I don't know. Like I I I I understand it. I understand the results that people can get from it. But again, it's just like anything else. The misinformation and the abuse of that certain compound, especially in today's younger generation, is crazy. I think, it was snap food to talk about that in the 90s. Like
Mhm.
you didn't even talk about it. Like you might stroll up to someone at the gym that was on it, but you didn't talk about it because it was
No,
illegal as hell. But now it's more open book. You know what I mean? You have the TRT clinic, stuff like that. But when that information gets out, guess what? That same information that's going out to the 40-year-old is going out to the 20-year-old.
and here's
And
the
they're
thing.
not mature enough. They don't have the mindset for it. And then that's where they get in trouble.
I will tell you, here's the thing is like what a lot of the gains you make with that though is like as soon as you stop, they're gone.
Yep. They're gone.
So it's not like any of these other compounds where you're building lean tissue and it holds on to a long period of time. And you got to remember too, is like coming back around to the cortisol thing is like if you can keep your cortisol low by not like being a fucking maniac,
Yeah.
you're going to see better results overall, and you're probably not going to ruin every relationship in your life. So that's like kind of like systemic stress talking. Like, let's make
Yeah.
this as easy as humanly possible. Like, the amount of times I talk to people, I'm like, how can we make this thing, this passion that you love, as easily assimilated in your life as possible?
Yep.
And that's the end all be all. Is like just making things smooth. And like that's where you see the most gains is when your life is smooth.
When
And like
everything is copacetic,
yes.
everything like, and again, for most of us, Vince, we don't find that until we're older. We don't have the stability until we're older. So I get the other side of the coin, right? I get,
Yeah.
because I was there.
Yeah,
We
you
were
don't
there.
you don't know how to
We were
say
both
no.
there.
You don't know how to say no. Like
Yeah, you
now
don't.
I'll say no. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
no, no.
and that's just, but it's part of the maturing process, not just in training, but being a human being. And it's just, it's kind of scary, like to see this, like this newer generation come up. Like, I actually don't think they should even have that knowledge at that young age. Like, if I could take all their phones and censor it off that stuff so they didn't even know about it, I think that would be the best for them.
I don't know. I think it depends on who you're listening to, and I think it's okay to be informed on the pros and the cons. And because I've had that conversation with people where I'm like, these are all the cons.
Yeah.
This is all like the real life. Like I had a discussion with somebody. I was like, once you start this, like once you start testosterone, you're on testosterone. You can't stop. Like
Nasser El Sanabate.
and
That
like
was one of his favorite. That was one of his most
And
famous
like,
quotes.
here's the thing: is like, if you, and I love Nasser. Nasser was super funny.
Oh, he's
He used to fuck with people all the time.
oh yeah.
And
Oh, I
yeah,
love him.
yeah, yeah. And so like when I explained that to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And it's like, yeah, like once you change your hormones, like
Yeah.
now you're dependent. Your hormones are dependent on this thing, and it's so hard for people to like completely conceptualize that like once you have that like really down to earth and like objective conversation with them when like these are the real pros and these are the real cons, and this is what you're really going to have to deal with. And like blood pressure
Yeah.
and everything else is going to become a hematocrit and high blood glucose and all these things are going to become an issue now because you're adding this to the fire, and now you have to be more diligent about your food
Yes.
because you're adding in this risk factor into here.
Yep.
And and if you thought you could eat whatever and just do whatever, no big deal, and this is only going to enhance you, that's the wrong way to look at this because then 5 years down the road, you're going to have high blood pressure at 25 years old.
Yep.
You're going to wonder why you're on the statin.
Yep.
And we want to avoid that. And so here's like the real deal facts. And like 9 times out of 10, when you have that like real conversation with them of what it actually means, they just want to trade. And,
Yes.
and they end up being like, I am not ready for that. I'm not dialed in enough for that. I'm not going to see the benefit in that. And so that's that's why I think is like real education needs to be available. And
Yes.
that's why I take on so many like young kids is because and like for whatever reason, younger males love have been inquiring with me a ton is because I have these objective conversations.
Yeah. You have to. You have to weigh out the pros, you have to weigh out the cons, but I always put it this way too. If you took a pie chart of, performance enhancing drugs, 99% would be for non-athletes or for vanity reasons.
Mhm.
Only 1% is for athletes, and that's really the 1% that should be taking it. And those are because, hey, listen, if you're gonna get a 10-year NFL contract, generational money, and you're gonna whack some tests to do so, I have no problem with that.
No,
I have problems when it's the guy getting ready to go to the Jersey Shore. So January 2nd, after New Year's Eve, he sits there and goes on a tear and then just totally toxifies his body all the way to September. And then he doesn't touch a weight until next January. And now, and you have those. I mean, up here, the Northeast. I mean, the Jersey Shore people. It's fucking insane. And
yeah.
I've seen it. I've
I still have friends. I still have friends, man. I still have friends that like, and it's so funny because I always separated myself from that group, and I was like, no, I love this because I'm dysfunctional. Like, I
yeah,
don't love this to look good. Like, I love this because I'm dysfunctional.
yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, it's. I'm all for an education for it. I'm all for it being done at a certain time. And I'm all for people being diligent even before it even gets to that conversation. They would have to show such consistency and diligence and compete at a high level without it before even adding that to the mix. And I think that's the part that's missing out on some of the young kids. It's more for vanity or that Instagram video, or because I'm sure it was out there before the interwebs. I'm not saying it wasn't, and maybe it's just shedding a light on it. But I just think today's youth really, really has to stay away from that stuff when you're teenagers, early 20s, like even mid 20s or late 20s, unless there's a medical issue for it.
I,
Just stay away from it.
I think it takes, I think it takes a very objective conversation, and most people who are informed, once they understand the reality, don't want to do it.
No, no, no. And listen, everyone, I'm not anti at all. I think it has its place, especially in the older demographic. Certain
Mhm.
things, cognitive, libido, just energy in general. And I think if it's tracked properly, there are tons of benefits. It just really grinds my gears when you know I have a 22-year-old that comes up to me and he wants to have a conversation, and I'm sitting there saying, not even close, bro. Like you have
No,
to be in the gym for years and years, and you have to build that foundation. I mean, how many younger people now are blowing off tendons on their body? A
oh
lot
yeah,
more. The
yeah.
injuries are getting a little bit more horrific. A lot
I'll
more
tell you
pec
what,
tears, so
my
on and
pec
so forth.
tear was the best thing that ever happened to me, man. My
Yeah,
pec tear was like, oh, now we learn how to actually train, and like we actually learn like how to do things correctly, and not just throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah,
So
it's all a learning curve. It really is.
yeah,
It's like I always like to make the analogy like um your parents, right? People will put their parents on a pedestal, and your parents are going to make mistakes. You know why? This is their first go around at life too, and they're just learning along the way. So maybe take them off the pedestal a little bit, maybe cut them some slack a little bit, maybe try to realize, hey, we're all doing this the first time around. Let's try to figure shit out together. And I always like that analogy because it's very, very true. I think people put things or people on such in high regards, and they don't realize, you know what, in life, no one really knows what the fuck they're doing. They really don't. They're just living life and they're finding it out along the way.
that was like the biggest thing that got me into giving this a full shot was like everybody just figures it the fuck out, and it's okay if I fuck up a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be perfect. But listen, man, I gotta get going.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love and appreciate the fact that you spent the time with me.
Oh, stop,
This
man.
is
My
going to be
pleasure.
our absolutely great second episode. Dude, every episode we're doing right now is fucking awesome. Let everybody
Thank
know
you.
where they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, and I'm going to link all your stuff in the descriptions and all that jazz.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. It's just the Instagram is Granite Barbell NY, and the website is Granite Barbell NY too. So I mean, you can't mess that one up. And Vince, again, thank you for the opportunity of having me come on again.
Dude,
I
you're one
appreciate
of
our
my
time.
favorite. You're one of my favorite people to do this with. I got to tell
Oh,
you
I
because like
appreciate that, man.
you're such a wealth of knowledge, and you've been there, done that, and like you're also one of the kindest and strongest human beings I've ever met. So this to me, like it's so funny. I had so many clients who watched our previous podcast, and like your memory of me is like impeccable. And they were like, "Oh, like we didn't know you when you were like that." And I was like, "Yeah, like I was the fucking psychopath, guys." So I gotta tell you, I always really appreciate you spending the time with me, man.
Hey, anytime, brother. Let me know. This is always a blast, and have a great fucking day, my man.
All right, take it easy, man.
Be good.